Hey everyone, welcome to the Waste of Time podcast mock draft edition. I'm your temporary host, Cole Walker. I'm usually not the host. It's normally our other member. Wait, do you call us guests or members? I forget.
I just don't. I think I avoid terms.
Okay, so the other person that's on this podcast a lot.
Our fearless leader.
Does everyone want to introduce himself? Yeah, our fearless leader.
Luke, you go
Yeah.
ahead.
Sure. Let's go with that. Hey, I'm Luke Rapert, draft expert, and here to drop. I'm gonna drop some knowledge. That's what I'm here to do. Dropping knowledge.
Drop it like it's hot.
That's right.
And then our librarian.
Yeah, you got Will McCombs here. And believe it or not, every single book in this library is 2021 draft focused. And so I've just been cramming on information. And so I just know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm feeling really good. So we're in great shape.
I didn't know Colin Coward had that many books.
You said what?
I didn't know Colin Coward had that many books.
Yeah. Well,
I personally have done 5 7-round mock drafts this year. So I feel pretty good. I feel pretty
How many
7-round
mock drafts do you think are done total, like in the world?
I don't know.
That's a really
You
good
might
question.
be half of them.
I mean, I bet near 1,000, right?
No way, dude.
No.
Maybe like some like NFL like front offices or something, but you're probably
I've seen
in their
only
class.
like 5 or 6 on YouTube of people that do 7-round.
Cole, like whenever you get to like round 5 and 6 and 7, is it just kind of guessing, or like what do you go off? Like what do you go off?
Well, I end up finding people's like rankings, and then I look up tape to compare the 2 players that like are most agreed to be the next best. So
would you say that like it's more you or more external stuff when you get to the later rounds?
More external for later, but I still try to like not just pick the next one.
Right.
I do a mixture of like who I've already picked for the team, that sort of thing. Like I look up depth charts to see like what their current depth chart would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You told me that you'll like look at like draft tendencies by team, which I think is kind of crazy. Like you're talking about the Ravens earlier. So
it only really matters in the first and second round for draft tendencies. For the Seahawks, I just take the next best player and take 2 scroll wheels down and then pick someone in that vicinity.
Usually a running back or something. Yeah.
Just pick the most unheard of linebacker. That's like their memo.
And with the Bears, you can pick someone that might be good and then just go ahead and guarantee that they won't be good. And then that'll be that.
Apparently you can do the Green Bay too.
Yep.
Well, Green Bay, you look at their team needs and then you just eliminate that from your possibilities.
Yeah, that's true.
And then it won't matter because they'll get bailed out by Aaron Rodgers anyway. So
true. Let me set up what we're doing real quick. You can see we're sharing our screen to Google Sheets. That's the Google version of Excel. For those of you that don't know, we have this mock draft machine, Blind Squirrels edition. When you type in a player, let's say Dylan Sainer, my old stomping ground Prairie Grove.
Spoilers.
If we wanted to pick him, it would auto-populate there, the position will auto-populate, and the college. How far off and right team will change depending on right when the draft actually comes. But you can see on the left-hand side, we've divvied out who gets which pick. And then a clarifier, it's not just the same all the way through. It changes based on, so you would have the same team. So Luke gets Jacksonville both times, even if it doesn't necessarily line up. It looks like it lined up.
I went through, that's what I was saying the other day is I went through to do that to make some trades on who has what, and it just naturally lined up where.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. But those are why it works out.
So we're going to switch off every 3 people. Trades are allowed. I don't know if any of us have thought real hard on that. Luke, have you thought of trades and stuff?
No, when I was originally thinking about it, because last year when we did our mock draft, we also made sure that we owned our own team. And so like I had a couple Bills trades in mind. The Bears didn't have a first rounder. And so Will traded into the first.
And
Guess the
took
Bills didn't
Jalen
end up
Hurts.
having one. That's right. Wow, yeah.
That would have been a good pick. I'll say it.
Yeah, hindsight 2020. It wouldn't be horrible.
But something with this one, we made sure that none of us have our own team to spice things up. So I think Will has the Broncos and the Bills, and Cole, you have the Bears. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah.
So how are we doing trades then? So like if you have, so is it just kind of like a free for all, or how do you guys want to do that?
I mean, I say if you want to make a trade, it's more like, do both teams want to make that trade? We'll just pretend everything else happens. So like, so I guess an example would be like Atlanta. If Atlanta wants to trade down, like they might feel like they'll get value with a lot of it. We'll just assume they get all the stuff they need to make the value if they do want to trade. But all that being said, we'll make picks, we'll do a little analysis, and then we'll go through. Please let us know. I think the waste of time, the unofficial waste of time at that point last year, was the best mock draft.
Actually,
as far as accuracy to the first round out of all of our friends, including our individual ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So maybe we'll go 2 for 2.
So we're pretty sharp. And one more clarification, Cole.
Yes.
Are we drafting? So like I own the Jaguars with the first pick. Am I going to be drafting as if I were representing the Jaguars? What I personally would do, what I think they will do, or some combination of?
Some combination of both. I think in the early rounds you might want to move more toward what they're actually going to do, and your opinions on that. But then it gets more subjective the further you get down of who you think deserves to get put there. And you can always talk about that. Like, I think so-and-so will do this, but I think it's more likely that whatever. So, all right, we'll get rolling with the first pick of the waste of time mock draft. Luke Raper and the Jacksonville Jaguars, new Urban Meyer head coach, is on the clock.
Yeah, this is kind of a tough one. I actually, the number one quarterback on my personal rankings, that's what I'm going with here. I'm going Justin Fields at 1. So I think, he beat Trevor Lawrence head to head. No, I'm going Trevor Lawrence. This has been locked and loaded for a long time coming. Tank for Trevor has been the slogan. He is highly recruited, number 1 recruit out of high school, lived up to the billing, got better every year at Clemson. He just has everything you want in a franchise quarterback. And the way I see it is like, I've seen some people, like Chris Sims is one that has like Zach Wilson ahead of Trevor Lawrence. And I'm sure there are people like that out there. I'm sure there are people that have Justin Fields as their number 1 over Trevor Lawrence. But when you're a GM and you have the number 1 pick, and it's like, there's this bona fide 101, like can't miss prospect. If you go out on a limb and take your chance on Zach Wilson, even if you think he's better, and then he ends up kind of flaming out or something, you're done. With Trevor Lawrence, you're not betting your job on Trevor Lawrence. If he doesn't work out, then that's just like a fluke. You got unlucky there. Like, that's not your fault as a GM. But if you go out on a limb for a player over Trevor Lawrence, and then it plays out like most people expect, Trevor Lawrence is incredibly good, then you're out of a job. And so I think it's just completely senseless to take anyone else but Trevor here.
Yeah.
I want to go ahead, Cole.
I was just say I agree. One quick clarifier on the tool, you'll see there's how far off and right team. This is comparing right now to the current Todd McShay mock draft. So this will obviously be compared to the real draft results, but you'll see how far off this pick is from where they were taken in Todd McShay's draft, and then if it's the right team that it went to. So quick clarifier there. But I agree. It's like if everyone is hitching their wagons to Trevor Lawrence, he's not going to look like an idiot if it doesn't work out, right? Then it's just kind of a fluke.
Yeah. One thing I was going to say is I feel like it's weird because I feel like Trevor really hasn't gotten a ton of media coverage during the draft process because it's just like guaranteed he's going to be number 1.
Guaranteed.
And so Zach has been, always talked about the Mack Jones hype, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, all that kind of stuff. And I think when you really think about it, when you really take into account the longevity and how impressive that is of what Trevor Lawrence has done, like I think the last quarterback to do anything like that was Deshaun Watson. And then that wasn't even that long ago, but it's not like that's a super elite company. I mean, you got Deshaun before that, like
Andrew
I
Luck.
mean, yeah, I mean, you got these. I mean, they're in a completely category to themselves.
Yeah.
It's really insane.
I'll just say
I mean,
one
he won the
more
national
thing.
championship as a freshman.
Yeah. Just one more thing, because we really don't need to be talking about this pick. It's set in stone. But to your point, the allure to Trevor is his longevity of how he's been good all these years. You look at Joe Burrow, who was the number 1 pick last year, and his individual season was better than any season that Trevor has had, but it was kind of that last season just splashing onto the scene. Trevor has been consistent all throughout college, and that's very, very rare to see at that high level.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, with the second pick, I own it in the New York Jets. This was one that I had debated for a long time, but it almost feels like this one's cemented as well. And I'm going to take Zach Wilson with the second pick. There was up until a few weeks ago, I was still taking Justin Fields here. And I think I believe in Justin Fields more than Zach Wilson, which is crazy. Zach Wilson has a crazy arm. I just worry about competition, right? Like, who did he see? Did he have to make that many reads? Or could he have just launched it because he has a cannon? And he can work on that. But I think he's an elite quarterback. I just don't know personally if he's everything he's cut out to be.
Everyone knows my thoughts on Zach Wilson. I still would take Trevor Lawrence over at 1, but I think that the potential that Zach has is unbelievable. I mean, you watch his highlights. You just watch. You don't even have to watch his highlights. Just watch his tape. Just watch any given game. I actually early in the offseason, I watched a YouTube, show or video that was like, I think 8 hours long. It just had every single Zach Wilson throughout his entire career, and it's like he just has this ability.
It's what you fall asleep to.
Right. Yeah. And then I just started again the next day. Yeah, but he has this ability to read the field that is he just has a feel for it, where there's only there's not a ton of people on this planet that have the ability to just feel so comfortable in the field and what he portrayed this past season. And I think he's just so comfortable, and you have these quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes and all these super athletic guys that can throw, Matthew Stafford, that can throw at so many different angles. And a lot of that is overrated in a lot of ways. But the point to be said is just the feel and the comfortability it has on the field is unbelievable. And so I love Zach Wilson.
Yeah, he could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, fun is probably that's a good word there.
Luke, do you have any?
Yeah, I mean, like y'all said, the talent when you watch him is undoubtedly there. It's just going to be a matter of can he do it at the next level. He makes a lot of those throws at the college level that you see, like Aaron Rodgers, Mahomes, Josh Allen, in the sense that like they'll throw it into tight windows. Like they're not afraid. They're not going to shy away from tight coverage. They just send it. And you saw Mahomes be able to do that right off the bat. I don't remember the beginning of Aaron Rodgers' career. Maybe he was able to do that right off the bat. If I remember correctly, I think he was when he became the starter. But then you see like a guy like Josh Allen, who just did it like starting this last year. And earlier in his career, he had a tough time figuring it out. Like he'd make those same kind of throws or try to, but it wasn't hitting. And I think a lot of that will come down to, for Zach Wilson, maybe he's not able to do that when he immediately comes into the league, hit those difficult throws against NFL competition. But if the Jets build the right system around him, have the right coach, equip him with weapons, then give him some time. Even if he doesn't come out hitting those right off the bat, maybe he can develop it. But
he's definitely going to try.
There.
Yeah.
I agree. All right, Will.
And now the draft starts.
I think this is the most interesting pick in the whole draft. It's kind of scary to think how good this San Francisco team is, and they currently have the number 3. Obviously, they traded up, but they have the number 3 overall pick, and so they're going to get the third quarterback. Obviously, it's a quarterback. I mean, they don't really have, off the top of my head, I really can't think of any glaring weakness that San Francisco has other than quarterback. And obviously, you hear the hype about Mack Jones and that he's going to go number 3. And then you got Justin Fields, obviously, who's there. I don't think Trey Lance is in the picture. I'm not even going to bring him up. But I also hate Trey Lance. Well, okay. This is tough. I honestly
I
wanted to
want to note here that
Go ahead.
in each of our mock drafts, our individual ones, that it started Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, and then I know me and Cole both went the same way on it. So I was just curious on which way you'd go. Me and Cole are in the same boat.
I'm going Justin Fields. I think they're taking Justin Fields. I'm not buying the Mack Jones hype. I think he's really good. I'm saying I specifically don't think that the hype is real around him to San Francisco. You go back, it's been Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence for the past like 2 years. Everyone knows it. They're going to go back to Fields here. I mean, he did it in an elite level, elite production at a high level. He's a winner. I think they're going Justin Fields here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy the range that Justin Field has. You can see that you're technically 8 picks off from Todd McShay, where Todd McShay has them going, which is insane. Let's go over there real quick and see who that would be. That would make him
got Mack at 3
at the Giants.
I could.
Dimes.
Todd. I can't imagine.
He's not lasting.
Justin Fields falling past Denver.
No.
And I couldn't imagine falling far enough where teams wouldn't trade up before 11. But
yeah.
Yeah.
So I like the pick a lot. I like Justin Fields more than Zach Wilson, in my opinion. So I think it's a great pick. I agree. Yeah, and it's scary. San Francisco's dang good, and this could just make them really, really good.
Yeah, I started out when we first were doing some of our predictions and stuff, our bold takes. I originally, coming out of the football season, was lower on Justin Fields because I thought he might be getting too much love for that Clemson game, which he was ridiculous. But you compare his last year at Ohio State, he dominated kind of those inferior Big Ten teams. But then like the 2 decent teams he played, he really struggled against leading into the playoffs. And so I thought the Clemson game's getting blown out of proportion. But I've gone back and watched more of him, and I've definitely grown on him. Yeah, and it's interesting. If you had gone with Mack Jones there, moving on to the Falcons pick at 4 here, which I control, I would have looked to trade down, or I guess more accurately, I figure some team, if Justin Fields fell to 4, I think some team would offer a haul to move up to 4 to go get him.
I think Denver's probably in that conversation. Like they're talking with Atlanta.
Yeah. And so that still could happen, but with those 3 off the board going into pick 4, I think the Falcons, or I'm just going to sit put there as the Falcons, and I think I'm going to take possibly the best available player, someone that many people consider a difference maker. And I'm going with Kyle Pitts. He is a freak. He is getting a ridiculous amount of love from the media. I mean, he is just media darling right now, talking about how he is just a matchup nightmare at the tight end position. You can play him at receiver just straight up if you want. He's just that freaky, that good, that fast, that physical. And when you go back and watch the tape, you're thinking like, oh, there's no way he can live up to it. And he lives up to it. He's a monster and can be a long-term difference maker for the Falcons there. Also, just thinking about pairing him with Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. I mean, that's scary.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
He's
getting a ton of hype right now.
I forget the stat that I sent. Was it Mitch Mustang that I was talking about? Where it was Kyle Pitts is the last person taller than 6'5" to run whatever his 40 ended up being. Besides Calvin Johnson, and I think it was who's that Arkansas player that ended up playing tight end or wide receiver? He was a quarterback,
Matt Jones.
Oh, Matt Jones.
Matt Jones. That's what I'm thinking of. So he was
insane.
Matt Jones, Calvin Johnson, and Kyle Pitts are the only players that are like 6'5" and above to run whatever it was, like under a 4.5.
No, dude, Kyle Pitts is literally a fast receiver in a tight end's body, and he plays that. It's insane. Like it's terrifying.
Versatile weapon.
You're gonna have like linebackers cover him. I mean, how do you can't cover him? You can't. I don't understand how it's even possible. It's almost it's actually kind of unfair.
He's too big.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, there's a whole really quick, one more thing. So there's that whole notion where rookie tight ends don't really produce. He will produce, depending on the situation. Granted, if he goes to Atlanta with Matt Ryan, I think he'll catch at least 8 touchdowns with Matt Ryan.
Throw a lot of they throw a lot of footballs.
Yeah, they throw a ton.
They
Matt
don't
Ryan's
run it
still
that
got
much.
juice. Yeah. Matt Ryan gets hate too, and he produces right now. So that matchup, that like combo is deadly.
I'll be mind blown if Atlanta takes their future quarterback here. It just doesn't make sense.
I don't think so.
Either trade out of it or get some sort of weapon.
And something with Matt Ryan is they've restructured his contract a lot. And so they cannot, they just cannot move on from him until his contract is up.
Yeah.
So.
All right, up next. I think this is where Luke and I's mock draft deviates. It's been the same all the way through the first 4 picks.
Where are we going with this?
I know he's screaming for Jamar Chase. I know he's like, that's my buddy. That's my guy from college. He's going to die if he doesn't get help on that offensive line. Joe Burrow should be screaming for people to be drafted that can protect his life. And in my opinion, Jamar Chase is not going to protect his life. He might be flashy. He might be fun, but it's a deep wide receiver class. You know what it's not a deep class of? Elite tackles. And Penei Sewell is one of those. I think Penei Sewell is the pick here. Rashawn Slater's getting a lot of love due to his versatility to play both guard and tackle. But I think they need a left tackle that can really anchor that side and protect Joe Burrow. Because Joe was doing great with the weapons he had. He just needed protection. So that's my pick there. I would love, Luke, I'd love your thoughts around him versus Jamar, because I feel like those are the places they're looking, right?
Yeah, no, because Jonah is obviously a Bengals fan. I've talked to him a lot about it. And Bengals Twitter right now, there's so many memes about these two, comparing them, but this is just a can't miss tackle. I've been torn 50-50 between the two. I went with Jamar Chase on my mock because I thought just be more fun. Obviously, you need to build the O-line, but it's just fun to watch a Bengals team just blooming with weapons. And something interesting is that they just claimed off waivers Thaddeus Moss, who was released by Washington, and so reuniting Burrow and Moss, and then you add Jamar Chase into it, just fully recreating that LSU offense. Could be going for it, but I mean, this tackle, he's a freak. You need to protect and build the O-line. I think that's the smarter move. In my mock, I just went the more fun move.
That is a lot of fun. And then they trade for Justin Jefferson and they complete the whole thing.
I'm bringing Clyde.
Yeah, they bring in Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They just make the offense complete. Will, any thoughts? You want to move to your pick?
I think it's a great pick. You can't go wrong with it. I mean, he's a beast. I know he opted out this past year, but I mean, it seems like this is just a surefire. I mean, he's going to be a stud tackle. I don't think you're going to go wrong with that.
He might be one of the only guys that didn't suffer from opting out.
Yeah, tackle is a great position. Yeah.
If you think of people that opted out and their stock when they opted out versus after, like I'm sure we'll talk about him, but Gregory Rousseau was considered a top 10 edge player. Like he would have been drafted in the top 10, and now he's probably like bottom first, maybe second, depending on where you have him. But anyway, Will, Miami.
Okay, this is going to be an interesting pick. So I know you asked us to kind of blend what we think will happen, like how we personally do it, and then how we think it actually will happen, and then what these teams are actually thinking. Obviously, none of us are in these front offices, but I'm going to go with the receiver here. And I will not be going with Devontae Smith. I'm going to go Jamar Chase. I think that they're going to take Jamar Chase. So I'll preface this with this. I think Jamar Chase is actually my second/third receiver on the board. I would take Jalen Waddle number one, and I'm a big Waddle fan. However, I'm playing the whole like Devontae. Tua was 2 years ago. Bama, like I don't know. I think they're taking Jamar here. I think they're putting their. I think what's going to happen is Tua may be pushing for Devontae or Waddle. But I think they're just in the front office. They're like, we're gonna go with Jamar Chase. I think this guy's an absolute beast. So
also, like, I don't think Tua's a force in that organization yet. He hasn't even proven himself to be the quarterback. And so, like, there's that. But also, you heard Devontae Smith. Didn't someone ask Devontae who the better quarterback was? Yeah, Mack Jones or Tua, and he said Mack.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up actually, but there might be some drama.
Absolutely believe it.
I would agree. Yeah. There might be some drama with this pick, but yeah, this is my prediction.
Yeah. No arguments here. I like the pick.
No,
I have a trade for this next pick, actually. I want to bring it up to Luke. What he thinks.
Okay. I just want to, one thing is Jamar Chase is mine certified. I think he's locked and loaded as the first wide receiver off the board. I think it's really close to me between him and Devontae. But I think Jamar's going to be the first off the board. Just he seems almost safer than Devontae solely because of the physicals of it. I mean, Devontae obviously he won the Heisman. He's really freaking good. There's just a frame concern, and I think from that perspective, Chase is the less risky, and obviously is just ridiculously good.
Yeah, he's insane.
Yeah.
All right, what's the trade?
So, Luke. So I'm going to preface my trade proposal here with kind of going back through the draft. So every single pick, except for maybe the Kyle Pitts, but I would include Kyle Pitts, but Carolina and Denver both really need a quarterback, and they're both looking to get a quarterback. Well, I guess Carolina now has Darnold, really. So yeah. My proposal is that Denver's trading up to 7 to take Mack Jones here. And Cole, I want to hear your thoughts on this too, but I don't think Denver leaves this draft without a quarterback. There's just no way. I mean, I'm not saying that Drew Lock is just Buns McGee, but I honestly think.
No, you can say that. That's fair.
I like Drew Lock. I just don't think he's that good. But I think that's my proposal. I think I don't know. Obviously, we're not going to get into like what picks they offer, but I think that Denver makes a move for a quarterback here.
Yeah, we'll assume it's enough. If Luke wants Detroit to move back.
Yeah, so from Detroit's perspective here, there are 3 guys that I'm really looking at that I really like. And so from that perspective, I think it makes total sense for them to trade back.
This almost even feels like a Denver trading up so that someone else doesn't trade up to Carolina or right? Like, because Detroit may or may not draft a quarterback, probably. Carolina, probably not, but someone could trade up.
If you look at Detroit's moves this last offseason, they are in total rebuild. They're tearing it down, new coach, bringing in the toughness. Dan Campbell, he's going to be biting knees or something like that.
Yeah, I love it.
But they're in full rebuild mode. I think it makes complete sense for them to trade back and try to gather assets. So that trade works great for me.
I'm gonna
go ahead.
Yeah, we don't need to specify exactly what it is. We just have the knowledge that they are switching first rounds. Obviously, more stuff is being included in that, but nothing that we're mocking. So
one thing I do
also be a few first and then like a second or something
like that, because it's only 2 picks away. But to one thing I also want to say is I think Denver has been calling each team on the clock before that, trying to move up to get their guy. And if it was Justin Fields, just like Luke said earlier, I think they would have really, really tried to move up to 4. I think Denver is the most desperate team not most desperate, but they're the most desperate team that's in a position that could actually make a trade because they have a high draft pick. And I think that Denver knows in the back of their mind that there's a couple teams following them. They're going to be looking for quarterbacks too, like Chicago, like New England. I could see New England doing it. I mean, I could even see Philadelphia maybe not trading up super high, but going out there a quarterback. the Giants, like all that kind of stuff. And they got that in their mind. I think they've been trying to trade up this whole time. And then I think Mack Jones falls enough. And by the way, I love Mack Jones. We can start talking about Mack Jones here a little bit too. I'm a big Mack Jones fan.
I love this pick. Right now, I have mocked that Trey Lance will fall to Denver, and then Denver will just take him because they'll take a quarterback, right?
Mm-hmm.
I really hope that doesn't happen. I like Mack Jones a lot. I've been watching there's like a docu-series that the Broncos are doing right now. They're like rebuilding with the Broncos or whatever, and it's like 20-minute episodes. George Patton is on it, and he talks a lot about like what it looks like to rebuild. I think if this is a John Elway team, we might trade up to 1 to get Mack Jones. Like Mack Jones is the John Elway prototype. But that being said, George Patton also talked about like there's not a lot of holes on our team. We're just really young, and so we're going to draft the best player available. And I think they could see like the quickest place to upgrade, especially in this range, might be quarterback. If they decide not to go quarterback, I think you might wait for Micah Parsons. But I think Mack Jones, to me, is the best quarterback left. And personally, he's up there for maybe like a number. I mean, he's right there with the number 2 and 3 quarterbacks.
In another draft, he could be one of those top 3 guys.
Yes,
and he still could be, but like
he could easily go 3.
Yeah, he could. But it's like this draft, they're for some people even consider Trey Lance of just 5 really good quarterbacks that could be going at the top. Mack Jones, I felt Tua his last year at Alabama, he played well. Something eye test wise just felt a little off. And yeah. I've been a big anti-Tua guy for a while, but Mack Jones, when I watch him, I was blown away. Similar to the way Will has always been on Zach Wilson. You know this, Will, because I was talking about potentially the Bears getting on, because earlier in the off season, it seemed like Mack Jones could go further, close to the Bears pick. Yeah. But I've been all in on Mack Jones. You watch him; he's just really good. The only knock on him that you have really is that he played at Alabama, and they had just ridiculous weapons. And kind of the track record of Alabama QBs isn't great in the NFL. That's really the only knock on him. You watch him.
It's not his fault, though.
He's incredible.
Yeah, you can't knock him for that.
It's his fault. Oh, you're so good. You got to be the starting quarterback at Alabama
and succeeded. Yeah. No, the one thing that I hear a lot about Mack Jones is about his like lack of arm strength. I think that's super overrated. Not arm strength. I'm saying I think he has a great arm. I think he has a fine arm. When you compare it to Zach Wilson and Justin Fields, he doesn't have his incredible, protege level arm as those guys. Those guys can chuck it 70 yards on their knees. Not actually, but it's like, I think Mack Jones, he's the most accurate quarterback in the class. I think he has the best deep ball in the class. His deep ball is unbelievable. And you're talking about like
fast. His movement isn't bad at all.
Yeah. He processes. I mean, I want Chicago to get Mack Jones so bad, but it's just not going to happen. There's no way.
All right. Well, I think we all love Mack Jones.
Great pick.
Now let's move to the 8th pick.
Yeah, if it's going to be a quarterback, I hope it's there. All right, 8th pick, yeah. Carolina. I don't know what mode they're in. Are they win now? Are they I think they're somewhere in the middle. It's not tanking. They're trying to pick up some pieces for cheap and see if it works, and then kind of go all in, is what it feels like at least. And they've done that with the offense. The offense looks pretty solid. To me, they are still missing Luke Kuechly and what he brought to the defense. And in my opinion, you just got to replace him. And you got to replace with someone faster. And that's going to be Micah Parsons. I might be the biggest Micah Parsons fan on this planet. I know there's off the field stuff. Who cares? The dude is so freaking good at football. He's incredibly fast. He's a good blitzer. He's good in coverage. I think he's better than any linebacker that was taken last year. So Patrick Queen, I think he's better than all those guys. Micah Parsons is my personal, he's my draft crush if I'm thinking of anyone in this class. Big fan of him. I think he's going to do really good things for Penn State.
First defensive player at 8.
Yep.
Yeah. And
I
so,
agree.
I mean, I'm with you. Mike Parsons was going to be my pick for Detroit. So, I mean, he's a freak. He's a guy. Noah Johnson played against him, and Noah said Noah said he is really freaking good. He was blown away. I mean, but yeah. So I mean, that's a great pick. Was going to be mine, but now moving on to the 9th pick, Detroit obviously traded back with Denver like we did a minute ago, and I'm torn between two. One that I think is the best overall player available, but like I said, the Lions they're stripping down, going full rebuild, and it just does not feel one like a Dan Campbell pick, and because this guy is all flash. And then 2, it doesn't feel like a rebuild type of pick. Like when you're entering a rebuild, it doesn't feel like you start with a wide receiver.
Yeah.
I think so. I'm going to draft. I'm going to let Devonta Smith slide here, and I'm going to go with Rashawn Slater. I think the Lions begin to build that offensive line, and I think that's a Dan Campbell hard-nosed pick. Cole mentioned it earlier. Very versatile, very mobile. I think he is just. Some people even have him going over Penny, but I think he's really good. You build up the toughness of that team is exactly what Dan Campbell wants to do, and so I think Devonta Smith would probably be my personal pick because I think he's just the best available freak talent. But Rashawn Slater. Build the offensive line, do a rebuild the right way. I think that's the way to approach a rebuild. It's not starting with a wide receiver.
Yep, I agree.
That's a great pick, Luke.
I mean, if like Goff is your quarterback, protect him, right? Like, see if he can succeed. You can work on getting a quarterback later if you need to.
And obviously, the Lions are desperate for wide receiver.
Yeah.
And so I think Devonta Smith very, very, very much in play here. I just don't think that's how you start a rebuild. I don't think that's what Dan Campbell wants. So I went with building the O-line. Now it's time to make Ty very happy. He has mentioned the one that he would really want is obviously Kyle Pitts, but he is not optimistic Kyle Pitts will get there to 10. But I will gift him his next favorite option is Patrick Surtain out of Alabama. Pair him with Diggs at the corners, and you start to build that defense. Dallas offense is not their issue right now. They'll have Dak coming back. They have a tremendous amount of weapons. They could build the O-line. I could see them going Rashawn Slater if he was still available here because they've had some offensive line tear down recently. But I think their offensive line is still quite good. They really need to work on the defense and having 2 corners on the outside in these back-to-back drafts, hoping that that Diggs can take a step forward from his rookie season, and then getting the first corner off the board and Surtain. Yeah,
I think it's a great pick. I like Surtain a lot. He is massive for a cornerback. Like, he's just such a big physical player, and he plays really, really well. It was fun watching him like in the playoffs and the championship. It always like showed his dad, right, like in the stands. It was cool. Also, a former NFL player, so he's got that going for him as well.
It would have made no sense, but solely because of Jerry Jones, I was really tempted to pick Devonta Smith there.
Yeah.
That would be insane.
But it would have made 0 sense. But
it is Jerry Jones.
But yeah, building the defense.
It's a good pick. Okay, Giants are up, and Giants. I mean, they're sticking with Danny Dimes, in my opinion, and now they're going to look to give him even more weapons. And it's also not going to be Devonta Smith. I think the Giants take Jalen Waddle. With this pick. I think they're just missing that speed. and they're missing what Jalen Waddle can bring them, he is going to just absolutely light up some of these really bad defenses in their conference. So I think Jalen Waddle. I think Jalen Waddle very much has the ability to go in the top 10. I think he's the better of the two wide receivers. I think he translates to the NFL better. I know I'm going to say all this stuff, and then Devontae Smith is going to be like the craziest wide receiver ever. But I think there's a lot of ties to Devontae Smith to the Giants because they think Waddle will be gone. Maybe that's like that. There's no proof behind that. But in my opinion, I think Jalen Waddle will be gone at this pick. So
interesting that y'all both have Waddle above Smith.
Yeah, I don't have him one. I have it Jamar Waddle Smith.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I personally, I think Jamar and Devontae are really close to my top two, but I have Devontae over Waddle. Obviously, Waddle was incredible while he was healthy, but just watching Devonta Smith, and it's amazing that he's still on the board here, especially coming up to Philadelphia's pick. But he is just ridiculous.
Yeah,
and Waddle's also very good. I just fell in love with watching Devonta Smith last year. That I personally am all in on him as my at least number 2 receiver, possibly my number 1.
Yeah,
I think the fact that Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith are even in the teens is a great value for both of them, because I think they're both. It's because of the run on quarterbacks here. I think that in any other draft, these guys are top 8 picks. I mean, they're maybe not top. They're all. I think all 3 of them are top 10 picks in normal drafts. I mean, they're all so good. Well, I think Howie Roseman just peed his pants because Devontae Smith is on the board, and so that's easy. They needed receivers so bad, unbelievably bad. Probably as desperate for a receiver.
But they have Jalen Reagor.
Right. They're probably as desperate for a receiver as any other team is for a given position, I would say, or at least in the conversation. They're taking Devontae Smith here. Honestly, I think realistically, I think that I could see them. Did they trade up to 12? Or what happened? Did they traded the 12th pick? What was that? Do y'all remember?
They were at 6.
They were at 6.
Okay, that's what it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the 49ers were at 12. They traded with Miami to go up to 3. Miami moved back to 12, and then Miami turned it around and traded with the Eagles. Right. And I honestly think
kind of puts that vote of confidence, right? Saying that Jalen's their guy.
Yeah, I can see that. And there's also, they may be banking on that run of quarterbacks early and thinking one of those 3 receivers, one of those top 3 could fall to him at 12. I will say it would have been really fun if Cole, if you had gone with Devonta Smith to the Giants, then if the Eagles had picked up Jalen Waddle, because then there would have been Jalen Hurts, Jalen Reagor, Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, that's funny. Luke, before you make your next pick, I have a trade.
Yes, I am listening. I was looking to trade down. Are you looking for someone to trade up to take Trey Lance?
Yep.
Just curious.
Don't do it, Cole.
All right. Oh. Interesting, because Will could also trade here.
Yeah, there's
with the Patriots, but
I thought about. Go ahead, Cole.
So I think looking at the Patriots at 15, it's almost assured that they're taking Trey Lance if it gets there.
Yeah.
So if I'm Chicago, I'm calling that front office. Also, Luke, I don't know if you want to make intertrading a thing, but Washington could as well. Up to you. If that's
I actually thought about that too.
But even Will, if you don't love Trey Lance at 13 is a lot further down, and you probably wouldn't have to trade as much than you thought you were back when you're trying to get in the top 10.
Yeah, that's true. But like you said, there are a couple different suitors here that I assume have been chomping at the bit to trade up. And so I'm assuming this isn't going to be a value trade. Like you're not getting a discount on this trade.
And Luke, if Will, are you offering New England as well?
I was thinking about it. I obviously knew at 15 if Trey Lance was going to be there, I was 1,000,000% going to take him, and I was considering it. I think the Chargers would be, of the next couple picks, obviously the best destination because I could see them trading down.
Yeah.
I think they got their quarterback. Like I could see it happening.
Well, Luke, I think in this position, you just think of who can offer you the most. So, like, if Will also wants to put New England in the hat, you think, can the Bears or New England offer me more? And then if you want to put Washington in there as well, I think that's probably how you think through it.
Mm-hmm. And I think it also could come down to, especially with the New England one in particular, if there's a guy the Chargers like here, they know New England will be trading up for a quarterback there at 13, and then they just have to wait one team, Minnesota, to take whoever for them to get their guy. So I'm
Also,
trying to
if you
see
wanna
right now if
go-
I'm really convicted on someone.
If you think the division route of you don't want to trade within the AFC, that might be BS, but
I think at this point in the
So-
draft, that's kind of thrown out the window a little bit. Not out the window, but I don't think it plays as much of a role.
yeah. Will, are you offering New England here? I'm offering Chicago.
Okay, yes, I'm offering New England.
Okay.
All right.
Luke, are you offering Washington as well?
No.
Okay.
I think they very well could, but I don't think that Ron Rivera, I'm not sure if he's just, I don't know, going to gun for the fifth quarterback off the board. Obviously, he's not the GM, but like Washington's been making some really smart moves, and I don't think they're in a desperate position as a franchise. Obviously, they need a quarterback, but I don't think they're so desperate for one.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And obviously, I'm just messing around when I say that. Like, I'm not actually putting New England in that conversation just because Chicago doesn't get a quarterback that I like. But I do think New England could easily trade up. I think that's a good.
Yeah. If I'm the Chargers, I'm trading back to New England's pick. There are two guys I like on the board with the Chargers, and I think that's what they're gonna. I think that'll be. It's so interesting because I don't think it's Belichick's style. He's so rarely traded up, but even still, this could be the time that they go get their guy. And Trey Lance, he's obviously a fit similar to Cam. He's very, very run heavy quarterback, which is why a lot of people, there's some people that like his physical attributes and like him as a prospect, and then there are guys that are really concerned with him. One, because of the competition he played against. Two, because he was a run first guy. You didn't see a ton of him making difficult throws. So
yeah,
that's a really athletic quarterback room. I mean, one thing you can say about Trey Lance is yeah. Is he still on the team?
That could like be really good for Trey Lance being behind Cam, for a year.
Yeah.
Like that could be exactly what he needs, and learning the Belichick system, like potential to be dangerous. I like the pick a lot, but yeah, I think Chicago, if a quarterback slips into the teens, Chicago automatically becomes that much more attractive to trade, no matter who it is, right? Mack or anything.
I would agree.
But okay, so I'm up next. And the Vikings are honestly in a pretty good spot. I think they really need interior offensive line help. And so I'm going to take Elijah Vera Tucker out of USC. Played tackle and guard some, but to me, he's just going to be the best interior offensive lineman on the board. And pretty much the only one taken unless you count Rashawn Slater.
Yeah, so when I said I'm trading back to the Patriots because there are two guys I like on the board for them, that's one of them. The Chargers need the O-line help, and that's a one-piece miss for their offense. Herbert was pressured on a higher rate of passes than any quarterback in the league last year, and he still was excellent running around there. And so I think when I decided to trade down, I was highly considering him and then one other guy, but you got to build the offensive line. I think the Chargers could do that either by taking a guy like Vera Tucker at their pick, or taking a lot of shots late, getting a second round guy, maybe throwing a fifth and a sixth round guy, just more dartboard tosses late than just getting your more certified stud there. But I think that was a
Yep.
great pick for Minnesota.
Yep, makes sense. All right, Luke, you want to go ahead and take the
Yeah.
whoever was remaining?
Yeah, and so the guy that okay, sorry. I was about to say remaining guy on the board. I couldn't remember if I didn't see Devonta Smith there first. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, so he's gone. That makes sense. Yeah, so I was gonna say is I'm gonna take the best player left on the board, and it's a team need for the Chargers, and that will be J.C. Horn. I think a lot of people have him and Surtain pretty close to each other. His physicals are crazy. He's got a long reach, but he's really good. And I think their biggest need on offense is offensive line. I do not think there's an offensive lineman worth drafting right here. I think there's the top two. Those are the tackles that went earlier. I think Vera Tucker was the next guy off the board, and then I think there's just a teardrop there. And so I don't think it makes sense for the Chargers to use this pick on offensive linemen. They get a stud cornerback. Really, I mean, their secondary is already really good. They're just missing. They're missing a little help on the corner side. They had a lot of injuries on defense last year. Retooled, the Chargers could be really freaking good.
Yeah, and JC's one that's been like sky people's boards, like especially with Caleb Farley and his back injury, like it all of a sudden put JC Horn in the spotlight. And I mean, I think there's a lot that he brings.
I'm really tempted to put.
205. Sorry,
he's 6'1".
Yeah, 6'1".
I'm really tempted to put JC over Surtain. Actually, I would definitely take Patrick Surtain over him, but I do love JC Horn. I mean, I think he brings that mentality that's super like he's just an alpha. I love it. He hits freaking hard. He's durable. I'm a big JC Horn fan.
Yeah, he's physical, man. He's big.
He brings the Jamal Adams in college mentality to it. It's kind of
also, I didn't know this. He's the son of 4-time Pro Bowl wide receiver Joe Horn. I didn't know that.
Really?
So he also, with Patrick Surtain, they both have fathers that were in the NFL. That's crazy. All right, Luke, you have another pick.
I do have another pick. And so if I'm the Cardinals here, offensive line was in need. I'm disappointed that Vera Tucker is gone. And I think this is a situation where they take best player on the board.
Yep.
I don't think there was two of their biggest needs were offensive line, which I don't think there's a tier worth taking right here. And running back, until today, they signed James Conner today. And I hate James Conner. I think he's a certified scrub. But I think he is enough of an investment for them to not take a first-round running back here. Him and bag of chips, Chase Edmonds. And so I'm just going to go with the best available player who gives them some defensive help. They need more help on the defensive side anyways than they do on the offensive side. I'm going to go with Jeremiah Owusu Koromoa. Do you know how to pronounce it, Cole? I don't, because I don't.
No, but, you nailed it.
I was hoping he wasn't going to be on the board when I went because I wasn't going to pronounce his name.
that was my hesitation in taking him.
Yeah.
Was having to pronounce his name. But talent is there. Like I said, this is the best available player pick for the Cardinals, and I think he's the best available player.
He's also insane. I've watched a lot of tape on the linebackers because Denver needs one, and so I've just been spending a lot of time there. His coverage skills are better than Micah Parsons. He's a guy that's going to get out and cover. I really hope they can. Who is that? Why am I forgetting his name? The Clemson guy they drafted first round last year.
Isaiah Simmons.
Yeah.
Isaiah Simmons, yeah.
So Isaiah Simmons is very similar to Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah.
Yeah.
And I hope they find some way to play them both at the same time. Because that is a fast, dynamic.
Flyer on the field. I can't remember. I was gonna say I don't remember the number. I might look it up, but I feel like I remember Owusu just running a ridiculous 40 time at his pro day.
Yeah.
How
I
do
can't
you guys
remember.
feel
But
about
I
the?
might find it.
How do you feel about the comparison between Owosu and Tremaine Edmonds?
I don't know. I hadn't heard that, and I hadn't really thought about that. Is that like something you've heard, or you just like asked me to make the comparison?
Yeah, I'm just asking to make the comparison. I haven't necessarily heard that. I also haven't done a ton of research on him specifically. But...
Yeah, I mean, Cole said, Owusu's coverage skills are really good.
Like he can play a box safety if he needs to. Like
that's what I was gonna say. Is he reminds me more of the Bills' other linebacker, Matt Milano, who was a safety in college, converted linebacker. Because I mean, Tremaine Edmonds plays a lot more in the tackles and can drop out in the coverage when he needs to, but he's not great at it. But Milano wins with speed and playing smart, and I think that's what Owusu does.
Yeah, I agree. Also, I'm glad you took him because I would have had to take him with Las Vegas, and I would not have wanted Las Vegas to have that type of tool in their belt. So instead, so this is one that I think really deviates from what they're going to do. They need offensive line help so badly. It is my prediction right now they will not be taking an offensive lineman here. Should they? Yes, that is 100% what they should do. And so I'm a little torn because I know if I'm the front office who I'm taking, but I also think about John Gruden, and I'm just scrolling looking for the fastest available player because that's all. There really isn't anyone in the range though that I'd be super comfortable with. I'm looking through a few. Sorry.
Also, while you look through that, I just want to fact check myself here before I get called out. I said I couldn't remember it because I did not remember it. Apparently, Owusu did not run a 40 at his pro day. I thought I remembered hearing that, but I guess might have been someone else. That's a swing and a miss, guys. I'd rather call myself out on it than have Cannon do the research later.
Micah Parsons had a ridiculous 40. His was like in the 4.4s, something nuts. So
all the 40 times, the pro day 40 times were ridiculous.
Yeah,
there are so many ridiculous.
Okay, so there's no one that's super fast in this range that I like, so I am going to make them do the smart thing. They're going to take Christian Darrisaw, tackle out of Virginia Tech. They just need offensive line help, and I think that's the next best one. It gets to this. Did I mess up? What's his name? Christian. There it is. It gets to this point where the lines on offensive linemen isn't as clear. It feels like there is the Penei Sewell, Rashawn Slater, Elijah Vera Tucker, and then it's like people don't know. And Elijah Vera Tucker is very much an inside guy, so he's kind of on a different level. But after tackles 1 and 2, there's people that have also, like Christian Darrisaw could go in the second round. He could go wherever. I personally think he's the third best one, and I have Las Vegas taking him here. Even though they won't. They'll take some fast guy. They'll probably take Kadarius Toney way too early.
Honestly, that would be a Gruden pick.
Yeah, he'll take Kadarius Toney here. I almost want to change it. I almost want to just take Kadarius Toney.
I mean, honestly, with Gruden, he could go Toney. He could go Rondale Moore.
Yeah, just any of the fast, like anyone fast.
But I mean, yeah, I think O-line is the right move here. Yeah. They have a lot of money tied up, or a lot of money / capital tied up in the running back room between Josh Jacobs and Kenyon Drake. Kenyon Drake, he's still getting paid. And so
and you think how much Derek Carr got hit last year, and they had a pretty good O-line because he just holds the ball too long. He'll get destroyed.
Mm-hmm. And Richie Incognito is out. So
yeah, I think they lost like 2 or 3 guys.
Oh, it didn't. That's right. They shipped him out. They just said screw offensive line. So
they blew up the
season. So
my conspiracy theory is they don't want to get rid of Derek Carr because John Gruden likes him. They're gonna make him so bad that Everyone is asking for him to be gone. My conspiracy theory. Okay, Will, you have Miami. Just a reminder, Miami took Jamar Chase with the 6th pick.
This is a tough pick because I'm really tempted to go one direction. But I think the Jamar Chase pick actually makes them not want to go that direction, even though it's a glaring hole. And I've heard some people, like, it kind of shocks me that they are high on Myles Gaskin. I think he's trash, just absolute trash. And I think they go Najee Harris here. I do not like Myles Gaskin at all. I think they go Harris, Bama running back, Najee. But I'm not going to pick that here. I don't know. I think the Jamar Chase maybe just convinces him otherwise. I'm going to go with Jalen Phillips, the Miami edge rusher. I think that's a big – are you putting it in right now? You got it. From what I know about him, he's pretty versatile. I don't think he's super massive. So he can stand up. He can put his hand in the dirt. He can be a 3-4 outside linebacker, just edge rusher, just all-around kind of guy. And so I think he was pretty productive last season. I think he had almost double-digit sacks. Of all the edge rushers, this is the guy I know most about. And I think he was pretty productive in Miami, but he drops 18. He's like, what is he, like the 4th defensive player to come off the board, which is pretty insane considering he's at 18. So I think they need an edge rusher. I think they go with Jalen Phillips.
He's also massive. He's 6'5", 260 as an edge rusher, which is a big, big boy. What's also crazy is I think he was consensus like 6th or 7th edge until like 3 months ago. And ever since then, he's like 1 or 2 on everyone's board. And so, I mean, he's nutty. He got to shine a lot with Greg Rousseau sitting out this year for Miami. He was the prominent guy. And I think he's a good one. I can't quite put my finger on like how good he's going to be and if it's going to translate, but he seems like the real deal.
He's like one of 3 guys that I would love for the Bills to take at 30.
Yeah.
Like he's one of 3 guys that gets me excited. Thinking about that could realistically be there.
Yeah, he's real good.
All right, so Washington here. They missed out on the quarterback, so I don't think they're going to be overly aggressive moving up. They could, but I don't think they.
Not Kyle Trask.
Not Kyle Trask. I'm not going with Kyle Trask here.
Kellen.
And so I don't think some people have taken wide receiver. I've thought about it because there's a guy I really like here, a wide out, but they have Scary Terry. They added Curtis Samuel in the offseason, and so there's a guy. There's a best available pick for me, and I feel like they just don't need it because their D line is so good. You know what? Screw it. I'm gonna go wide receiver because they just don't need an O line, or they don't need a D lineman. Their edge rushers are really good. Their interior is good. So I'm gonna go with Terrace Marshall.
Yep.
I think he is the clear-cut 4th best receiver in this draft class, and I think he could be. I think he'd be talked about a lot more in a year that there's not Jamar Chase, Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle. He is really freaking good. I think they just load up on weapons there. Once they figure out their quarterback, this next year, Fitzpatrick is going to be so fun to watch. Because you know what? If you know one thing about Fitzmagic, he's just a gamer. He is not scared of any throw. So that'll be fun, especially if they add Terrace Marshall there. But when they figure out their quarterback, they're going to come into a really good situation there with a really good defense, really good weapons. I think adding Terrace Marshall here makes sense. I'm not in love with the pick, so I think there are other needs they could address, but I think he's just a freak weapon to add.
Yeah, he's insane. A lot of people have a different wide receiver right in front of Terrace, which, I mean, we'll get there in a second. But okay, now I'm here with Chicago, and to be honest, no idea.
Kellen Mond.
No idea. In my opinion, if they don't trade up for a quarterback, they should trade this pick away and just get picks. Get as many picks as they can. Like, just load up on second-round picks. Get like 5 of them. I don't know.
I don't think that's going to happen. And the reason why, I understand where you're coming from, and I think that's definitely valid. But you got to keep in mind that Nagy and Pace, the coach and the GM, they will get fired this next season if they don't win a playoff game. I think at the very least win one playoff game. And I think they realize that Andy Dalton is their quarterback right now, and they're praying that the defense goes back to 2018 form. If that doesn't happen, then it's over. I mean, there's just they will be fired. And I think if they trade down to the second round pick, like if they don't take a player at 20, then I mean they're just like, well, what's the point of that? We're just going to be, playing for the future here. I just don't see it happening.
You make a great point in that. Also thinking back to where I traded back, Chargers trading to the Patriots. Chicago, like you said, they're GMing. They're going for their job. They're not going to play this passive. They're going to be aggressive. Apparently, they offered an absolute haul for Russell Wilson, according to reports. They could be a team that just is really aggressive, moving up really high and to get a quarterback, possibly like overpaying, but like they have to be aggressive at some point in this draft. It might be too big of a jump to move far enough up to get their guy at quarterback, but like they're going for their job. You make a great point there. They got to be aggressive. They're not trading back.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think that if Mack Jones goes 3rd overall, I think Chicago will essentially offer everything possible to get Justin Fields. And I whether or not that'll even happen, I don't even know if necessarily they'll be accepted, if Atlanta would even say yes, just because, I think Denver would as well. I think there's other teams that would as well, but I think they will literally. Did y'all see what they offered for Russell Wilson? It was insane. Khalil Mack was on the possibility. It was 3 firsts, 2 seconds, Khalil Mack, Akeem Hicks, Kyle Fuller. They were like, just take whatever you want and you can have it. They're so desperate. I could see them going for Justin Fields, but I didn't want to do that just to be like that annoying Bears fan does a mock draft and has them trade up to the 4 overall pick.
And you don't own their pick.
Right. Yeah. But yeah. No, it's a tough position for you, Cole, to be in, because Chicago is not the 12th best team in the NFL. I mean, they did not perform that way, and so they shouldn't be at 20. They should be higher because they're not that good. They squeaked into the playoffs barely.
Yeah.
And so you got to weigh like best player, like that kind of thing. So I get that.
There's a few places I could go. So along the sentiment of thinking they should trade away this pick and get 1,000 second-round picks and just start building, because honestly, they're in between rebuild and like win now. They're somewhere in the middle, and it's a really awkward place to be, and they're not committing. And like you said, they're just trying to save their jobs. In my opinion, if they don't trade it away, they should take offensive line to defend Andy Dalton. I don't think they're going to. I think like they should do that. I think it's not flashy enough when you think of like you want a playmaker to work now. So same with wide receiver. You've got a good wide receiver core, pretty solid wide receiver core, especially if Darnell Mooney fully comes into his own. That could be an explosive group. I think there's a player here that to me was the former number 7 best player in this draft, but because of an injury, got pushed down. I think Caleb Farley, quarterback, is an insane. I had him number 1 until all the injury concerns about him. So I thought he was the first best corner. Apparently there's no problems. Apparently he's fine. I think you want to build the Chicago defense to what it is and what everyone remembers it to be. And so Caleb Farley could truly be a number 1 corner in a few years. Like he could be the Bears' best corner here in 5 years. So I think it's flashy enough to be this win now, but also sustainable for the future.
And there's a massive hole right now at cornerback because Kyle Fuller just left. Obviously, you know that, you're a Denver fan.
Yeah.
And so Jalen Johnson was awesome last year. He was really, really good. He got hurt the last like 2 or 3 games. But there's a massive hole at one of the starting positions at cornerback. And I think if Caleb Farley's there, they're going to take him. There's only 3 picks or really 4, but there's only 4 positions that this pick the Bears could possibly pick in the first round. It's a quarterback, it's an offensive tackle, it's a receiver, or it's a cornerback. There's literally no other option, and I don't think it'll be a quarterback.
And to me, there's not a wide receiver flashy enough here. That's gonna and I think Darnell Mooney is gonna be insane.
Darnell Mooney's a beast, man. I freaking love that guy. Yeah, I agree.
No money, so good.
So when you brought up injuries, my first thought was that I thought you were going with Landon Dickerson out of the O-line help. Yeah. Obviously, he had his big injury. But Caleb Farley, it's interesting. I have another corner over him right now.
Dickerson is a guard,
we might
isn't
get
he?
to, but
no, he's a center.
No, he's yeah.
Okay.
He could maybe play somewhere else, but he's
some of them can swing, but
yeah, he's the best center in the draft. I don't know if he'll go first round, but he's a dang good center.
Okay. All right, this next pick is the Colts. This is also, I think, well, y'all
crazy offseason for the Colts.
Yeah, dude, totally. Well, they had their left tackle retire, right? That plays a big part in my pick here. I'm gonna go. Hold up really quick. Tevin Jenkins. I'm gonna go Tevin Jenkins to Indianapolis. The reasoning behind this is I know he's a really, really good run blocker. I don't know about his pass protection as much. Obviously, we know that Indianapolis loves to run the ball. I think Jonathan Taylor ended the season last year one of the most elite running backs in the league. I think they're gonna. I think the run blocking ability that Jenkins has is appealing. I think they're gonna take him here. Obviously, they need a tackle. Their left tackle is retired. I think we'll go tackle here regardless. So yeah, especially I think some of them are falling too. So.
And I bet he starts at right tackle. He's not put there immediately. He's a little more developmental, but he is really athletic. So a lot of people think he could slide down to guard too. He's kind of like at that size where he's between the two. But he's just experienced. He's an experienced tackle that I think could be good for Indianapolis. Yeah, I like that pick.
Well, all right. So now Tennessee is on the clock, and you've always talked about how you're a big fan of kind of doubling up on a position that you're really good at. Like you loved when the Falcons took Calvin Ridley, even though they already had Julio Jones. And obviously it's working great for them. I'm doing something similar. I'm going with Najee Harris. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. That'll be ridiculous. No, they had Corey Davis walk out the door. I thought Indianapolis could be going receiver here. Tackle is a great pick for them, but they could have gone receiver. I'm going receiver for the Titans. This does not feel like a Vrabel pick. This isn't. I mean, he's kind of like a man's man. He likes him gritty. This isn't that. Cole, you referenced that there's another guy that is considered with Terrace Marshall. Could be the next best wide receiver. I don't think this is the guy you're referring to, but I'm going with Kadarius Toney, and I think that just
not the guy I was referring to, but I like him better than the guy I was referring to.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And so Kadarius Toney, I think he is just a very versatile weapon, and something that the Titans don't have and haven't had. What they've had lately is those outside guys. Obviously, they have A.J. Brown, who is really freaking good. They had Corey Davis. He walked this offseason, but he is very much an outside guy, outside number 2. Kadarius Toney provides really cool utility that they haven't had in this Tannehill, Derrick Henry era. And I think it just opens up a whole new level to their offensive play calling. So I think they could have more dire needs, but I think this is a pick that specifically, like I said, opens another door for their offense, something that they haven't been able to do because they haven't had the personnel to do it. He's a great utility guy, obviously very fast, very elusive, can move them all over the field, use them in a bunch of different ways. And yeah, I think it's just a great asset.
Dude, he's going to be so much fun. I think he's going to be a really, really fun player to watch. I like him a lot. Okay. We can go ahead and say who the other receiver is. Rashad Bateman is the one.
Rashad Bateman
is being considered sometimes above Terrace and Kadarius. I think he's a good, solid wide receiver. To me, he's just not very flashy, and so it's not very fun. Okay. With the Jets, I could pick anyone, and it would improve their team. Their team is so bad, particularly if you think they took Quinnen Williams, number 2, right? What draft was that? In 2019?
Was it 2 or 3?
2018, something like that. He was taken top 3 recently and has done nothing. Like, he's okay, but he hasn't, they're one of the worst teams at getting after the quarterback. They don't know how to do it. They look lost when they get in the opposing team's backfield. So I'm going to give them who I think is a really, really dang good edge player in Kwity Paye. I think Kwity is a really good edge player out of Michigan. I've watched a pretty good amount of tape on him, and his ability to go up against a blocker and hold it and grab the running back is insane. Other than that, his pressures are pretty good, but they just need to start investing in their defense. They got to build something. They addressed the offense pretty well in the offseason, and obviously the addition of Zach Wilson in this draft helps them a lot there as well. They've got some guys. I know running back could be somewhere they could go here. I just think you got to fix the defense. I think you're developing a pretty good passing offense, and then you're rushing, especially when you think of Mekhi Becton and how dominant of a force he was. You can start to play with the rushing, but I think you take Kwity Paye here.
Yeah.
Good player.
He is very explosive, and if I'm not mistaken, he's similar to Rashawn Gary in that he didn't have just insane production at Michigan on the edge. He is more of just the physicals are all there, and you can see it on film. He just wasn't insanely productive from a statistical standpoint.
Yeah.
But everything's there. He's another guy. Haven't seen him drop all the way to the Bills in any mocks, but he's another guy that I'd be excited about that I've looked at.
Yeah, I believe his sack numbers are low, but his pressures are high. So while he didn't sack the quarterback line, I mean, he's a heavy guy. He's 6'4", 280. So he's going to be a hand in the dirt defensive end. He's not going to be like a stand up on the edge. He'll probably be more of a pure defensive end.
I know a lot of people have him and Jalen Phillips kind of at the 1 and 2 kind of flip flop. I feel like most people actually have Kwity Paye. Is it Paye?
Yeah, Paye.
I think most people have him over Jalen Phillips, but I think it kind of flip flops there.
Yeah.
So my next
those
pick,
2 and Aziz Ogilari are like the 1, 2, 3.
I was gonna take Paye with the next pick, and I didn't know how to pronounce his last name, and so I looked it up, and I think it was some kind of like savage blog or something because I said his last name. I'm not kidding. His last name has a silent or not silent G at the beginning of it, and so they just called him gay. I guess I was really confused. I was like, "There's no way." So, anyway, okay. This next pick is kind of just a fun pick. I can see this team. It's a trade. I can see this team. I own both of these teams. I can see this team that's trading up doing this for sure. I don't think it would be with Pittsburgh because I think Pittsburgh could actually use this player, but this is just a mock draft. I think we're having fun here. And so, but I do think this is realistic. I'm going to trade. Buffalo's coming up to 24 here.
Ooh.
I almost offered you a trade for Buffalo to move up here. Again, like you said, I don't think it's very likely, but because there's a player that really excites me, And I was almost going to offer you something with Buffalo trading up here, but then I realized I don't own Buffalo's pick.
Yeah, I hope I'm gonna pick your player here. I don't know. I'm gonna go.
I am 90% sure you are.
Okay, I'm going Najee Harris. I think
That is 100% who it is.
Okay.
I want him so bad.
The reasoning why is Buffalo has everything going for them going to this next season. Why not just put the nail in the coffin and get a stud running back, the number 1 running back in the draft? I mean, it makes all the sense in the world. I mean, their offense was on fire last year. Add to it, the defense struggled at times, but they got a good defensive coach. Sorry, my earplugs. I think Najee Harris is a super fun pick. It's also super reasonable, and I think it fills a need as well. So, yeah, that's exciting, I think.
Yeah, I have a hard time seeing the Bills trade up for a running back, but I absolutely love it. And so Najee is my dream pick for the Bills in whatever way that happens. Just watching him, he is unbelievable. He is so good. And like you said, we don't have any huge holes. Like our defense, we could definitely improve at our edge rush. We could definitely improve at our number 2 corner. But we could definitely improve at our running back. And a lot of our problems in the run game, I really feel were more scheme than our actual running backs. I think they're decent backs, but they're not difference maker backs, right? I think they're just passable NFL running backs. Najee is an absolute difference maker, and I am in love that you just did that.
It's a good pick.
It may not be the smartest move, but it would be the most fun move.
It could be, man. I mean, honestly, it could be a smart move.
Yeah, it could be.
There may be other areas, but pairing those Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs and Harris, like that's fun, man.
Yeah.
You got kind of a Steelers.
Steelers
offense there. I know I'm not saying Big Ben and Josh Allen compare like style wise, but that Steelers offense several years ago, you had number 1 receiver that was a best receiver in the game. With AB, you had Le'Veon Bell, and you had an elite quarterback. I mean, those 3-headed monster, man. That's a thing. And teams want that. So
yeah. No, I think that'll be spectacular. The Pittsburgh is one of the main reasons I have a hard time seeing the Bills reasonably getting Najee.
Yeah,
because I have a hard time imagining them pass him up. The hope that I have is that they have ETN. I feel like a running back is definitely going to go before the Bills, even though running backs usually drop in the draft further. I think at least one would probably go. Particularly, there's a high likelihood of Steelers, and I'm hoping that it is ETN, who I'd be fine with for the Bills too, but I just so strongly love Najee.
Yeah.
Could be a lot of fun.
It would be. And now on to Jacksonville, who has obviously they took Trevor Lawrence with the 101. And oh shoot. Yeah, I was looking through trying to figure out my pick, and then you got me. Then I figured out what you're doing and got really excited. And so I think Jacksonville is in recent years, Jacksonville has not been afraid to take, a freak guy that's just like isn't the smartest pick. A lot of people have him as a really high talent, but he did not play against high competition. But he is just a freak athlete. I do not think Jacksonville would shy away from this pick here. I'm going with Zavin Collins, linebacker out of Tulsa.
Yeah.
I think they're in a situation where they could take wide receiver, but I feel like I don't know if I personally don't love Bateman. And so I personally just wouldn't take him here. So they could go wide receiver, but I think they go best available player. That seems like the situation Jacksonville's going in here. They're grabbing their quarterback. And I think in a rebuild, retool kind of situation, you grab the best possible player. They got the quarterback on their offense. You grab a guy that can help lead your defense. Zavin Collins, athletic freak. Again, question about his competition is his really only question, because you watch him on film, monster.
Yeah. And he doesn't fit a scheme. So it makes sense to have him at Jacksonville because he doesn't fit like a normal scheme. Like you almost want to build around him. And so when you put Zavin Collins into Jacksonville, you're able to do a lot of things just because they're in rebuild mode. Like you don't have to try to force him in somewhere. Like if you would have taken a different linebacker, it probably wouldn't have made as much sense because Zavin's just an all over the field type of guy.
And he is huge.
Yeah, he's a big
Like
boy.
you obviously he is like I've said before, he played against smaller competition, but like you look at him on the field, you can immediately pick him out when you turn on film.
Yeah,
he
he's
is
6'4",
a monster.
260. He's built like a defensive end.
Yeah.
Big
I think
guy.
it'll be a fun pick. Great pairing for them in the first round.
Yeah, I agree. All right, up next, I'm going to pick a guy that's linked to the Browns already, and he's had interviews with them. When asked about the opportunity to play with the Browns, he said that would be sick. So good things coming out of him. It's going to be Aziz Ogilari. And this dude in 10 games played had 9.5 sacks last year at Georgia. So against SEC competition, his production was massive. I really do think what they could do at Cleveland is very similar to what the Broncos did with Von Miller, Chubb. When you think of Myles Garrett on the Aziz Ogilari, I mean, one, the production for Myles Garrett probably doubles. And then Aziz probably gets some good reps in there as well. But I think he's a stud. I think as far as like pure numbers and stats, he's the best edge player in the class. Some of those other guys have some intangibles that might put him above, like Kwity Paye and Jalen Phillips. I think Aziz is proven to be really, really good. And if Cleveland, I think if he falls here, I think Cleveland would be dumb not to take him. It's a scary pick for anyone that takes Cleveland. Like they're building a really good defense.
They're building it.
Yeah, it's a good team. The Browns are a good team.
Yeah, they're building it right. Building up the offensive front. I mean, their O-line's already ridiculous. Obviously, you said they have Myles Garrett. They can, if they hit on another edge rusher,
it'd be insane.
That's crazy.
Myles Garrett is insane.
He's nice.
He's
He's okay.
Okay, I don't actually love this pick. This Baltimore. They could go like pass rusher here. Just defense in general. But I think that they're going to be so desperate for a receiver. I think they just want a receiver really bad. And I'm on your guys' page with this. I don't like Rashad Bateman a ton, but I think that they're just going to take him. I think he's not flashy. You know, he's a possession receiver. Like, I don't know, but I will also say that doesn't really fit Baltimore's offense a ton. I feel like they just have a lot of speed. But I think they're going to take the highest receiver on the board, and I think they go with Rashad Bateman.
And they almost need him. They almost need a guy that's like sure-handed. Let's bring the ball in. Don't need to be crazy flashy. I just need to be reliable. And I think Rashad Bateman is that. I think he's a great wide receiver. I just don't think he's as high as people are saying.
Yeah. 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 He's
also,
kind of
anti-Hollywood. Yeah.
All right. So Saints on the board here. And for me, this is a guy that is talked about to the Bills a lot. Guy that I personally, this is a what would Luke Raper do here pick. This is a guy that I like a lot. I would be super pumped if he went to the Bills, and I have no earthly idea how to pronounce his name. Fitu Melifonu.
Yeah, sure.
him. But I like him a lot. He's one of the guys that a lot of Bills people really like. A lot of accounts that I follow. There's, he's the guy. He's my next corner up. I have him above Caleb Farley. So he obviously I think part of that, Caleb Farley naturally is really good injury concerns, and that's part of why I have him above him. But I think he is long. He has a long reach. He's one of the three guys I mentioned three earlier, that there are three guys realistically that could go to the Bills that would get me really pumped in the first round. One was Jalen Phillips. My number one would be Najee Harris. That I don't know how realistic, but running backs fall. And then Afitu. I think I love him from a physical standpoint, and you get him in the right system, get him a good coach, which the Saints have really good defensive coaching, and you pair him with Marcus Lattimore, even though Lattimore's a bum, of course, but I think that's a good way to build it for New Orleans.
Yeah, and I feel too. To be honest, I'd be surprised if he got picked in the first round, unless there is a coach that banks on him. That's like, he's athletic and he's big and I can coach him. Because there's other guys that are more proven as far as like they've done it and they, do the cornerback position well. Don't I have him going like 70th or something crazy?
Yeah.
I have him way low.
79th.
But it's mainly just because like he's a freak athlete. If the right coach bets on him, it's the same thing with, there's a guy, what's his freaking name? Anyway, sorry, go ahead. I'll find him. But
yeah, I was just going to say, exactly like you said, I personally am higher on him than a lot of other people are. But I love him. I love the physical attributes, right system. Yeah. He's going to be a great guy. If my dream, of course, if he can go to the Bills in the second round, I'm all in there. But I do believe he is a first round talent. He's my, put a stamp on it, my guy in the draft.
Love that. Man, it makes me want to do the same thing. I'm looking at the picks I have going forward and who I would want. Okay. So Green Bay, Jerry, real fan Jerry, if you're listening, this is your pick. This is what you've been waiting for. Cannon, we have yours coming up at 30.
This isn't what you waited for. This is what you skipped to.
Yeah, this is what you skipped to. We all know it. And I think they're going to do something really dumb. They probably won't pick a position of need, to be honest. Like they'll just they'll pick another quarterback. Like, I don't know. They'll put Kyle Trask here. I think so. I don't really want to go another corner after this, because I have a corner that I had above Ifitu that I think is going to be really good. But I also think I can't believe this player has fallen this far, and I think Green Bay just needs to take him. I don't know if this is what Green Bay will do. This is what they should do. They should take the best defensive lineman in the class in Christian Barmore for Alabama. It's not a huge need. It's some websites have it as like their fourth or fifth biggest need, but this dude is massive. He'll run stop. He'll get after the quarterback. He's so incredibly strong. I was watching the Denver Green Bay Super Bowl not too long ago where they still had where they still had Reggie White, I think, when they had Reggie White on at the end, when he was like kind of on his last legs, not really as explosive as he was. But they need a big guy in the center to get back to that defensive form, and I think Christian Barmore can be that. I think personally you might take a corner here, but I think this is a value pick as well of just how good Christian is.
Yeah, I have him in my mock going 16. The Cardinals. I think he's locked and loaded. I think he's good. I think that's a great value pick. Obviously, I don't think, like you said, not their biggest need. But I was looking at, I don't know if you have another corner that's kind of could be first round guy.
Greg Newsome would be
I
my
was about
next.
to say Newsome would be in consideration for me, but that's about it.
Yeah. And you
Also, he
think
would be a
like,
bust though if I took him.
yeah, Greg Newsome's fine. It just feels like, and I'm thinking about last year when every cornerback that was taken after like the first, I mean, I feel like none of those cornerbacks really panned out. There were a few that did okay. Jacksonville's, who'd they take? He was good. I can't remember his name, but most of the first round corners were just kind of eh. So I'm wondering if people will be more shy this year because of that.
Yeah, remember how buns Denzel Ward was his first year?
Yeah.
He's garbage. I mean, he was the 3rd overall pick.
Yeah.
Kinda
Now
happened.
it's ridiculous.
Whoever the Raiders took was bad. Whoever the Falcons took was really bad.
Who did the Raiders take?
Dolphins, whoever the Dolphins took was bad.
Yeah. Denver actually
Jalen
had
Johnson
like
was
steal
arguably
of
the
the
best
third.
quarterback.
Yeah, he probably was the best first round guy, except for that Jacksonville guy. I'm forgetting his name. I'll find it.
Oh, Patrick Peterson.
Oh, right.
All
Okay,
right.
so
Well,
I got the. So we got Pittsburgh here. They traded back with Buffalo for running back. I could see them going here with the Clemson running back. I could,
ETN.
but yeah, I'm really tempted to because I do think he's pretty good.
CJ Henderson, by the way, I found it.
Okay, right.
That's right.
Yeah. I'm tempted to go. It's between ETN, who is yeah. The reason so we talk about Landon Dickerson. We talked about him earlier in the draft because Luke, you thought that's who Cole was going to pick with Chicago, and the reason why I thought he was a guard was because I remember reading and seeing that he's played like almost every position on the offensive line, and I'm pretty sure he was a guard for for stretch like a pretty solid stretch in Alabama. And so I say that it's between those two. And I don't even think offensive line is a huge need for Pittsburgh right now, but his biggest thing is durability. I think he's had like what was his big injury that he had this past year? I can look it up. Sorry.
ACL.
That he had an ACL this past year?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know he's had a ton of injuries. I remember reading that. But it only takes one. There's so many college players that have had injury history, and then they've come to the pros and just made it work for whatever reason. It's just like a luck situation. But it only takes one team to look at a player and be like, he should be a lot higher, but the only problem is the injuries. And so I'm going to take a chance here. So I'm going to go Landon Dickerson. I think that they're just going to be the best player available. And I could see a situation where a team takes him and be like, bro, we just got our 15th player on the board at 20 or at 30, and
and they're stoked about it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I like it. It's a good pick. He's a leader. I think he's what you want if you're Pittsburgh in your locker room. He's just a good pick overall. It's the injury concern, but I think he's gonna be good. And I think they do need help, right? Like, didn't someone retire? I think someone retired and one got traded away. Can't remember, but
There you go.
all right, Luke, Cannon's team.
Okay, so there's part of me wants to just, it seems very Chiefs, to just go with that speed, just go with the crazy weapon, go with Rondell Moore, but I'm and like they do need some help at wide receiver, kind of behind Tyreek Hill. It's kind of thinned out, but I'm not going to go there. I am going to go get them a tackle. They've had some offensive line turnover in this offseason, and I think they could still add a tackle. And man, I think SEC bias is really showing here because I just did some math here. Actually, I can't remember. I think this might be the 8th Alabama player to go off the board, our 3rd in a row. And not only that, this will be our 2nd time to have a run of 3 Alabama players, which is
Holy moly!
interesting.
8 of them.
But I'll go with Alex Leatherwood at tackle. He's good.
Yeah, he's nuts.
I mean, he's proven, big guy. I think Alabama offensive linemen, they translate to the NFL a lot. High hit rate. They coach them right down there. They prove it against the toughest competition. And I just think they add to the offensive line. Go with Alex Leatherwood here, making our second run of 3 Alabama players. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. Good pick, though. I like the pick a lot. Sorry, I'm looking.
I think the Chiefs are in a position. Sometimes teams will draft, best available player, especially rebuilding teams, best available player. I think as you get closer to that, contender level, which obviously the Chiefs are, obviously they're contenders. You draft for need, and you draft for people that you think can come in and immediately help you. And I think Leatherwood has a chance to come in and immediately help that offense.
Yeah.
And you saw, obviously, they had injuries. Yeah, I was about to say, obviously, they had injuries on the offensive front, and they've shipped some of those guys out, but they got eaten alive in the Super Bowl by Tennessee's defensive front. And so, not Tennessee, sorry, Tampa Bay's. And so, yeah.
Speaking about a team that's capable of going best player available, Tampa Bay has returned all 22 starters, so they can do whatever they want.
Yeah. So when you look at team needs and just what different analysts have said the team needs are, running back is one of the first ones. I'm not going to go Travis Etienne here. I think it'd be dumb to do when they have.
Actually, right. They also just added Gio Bernard.
Yeah, it doesn't.
They have Ronald Jones, Fournette, Gio Bernard, and then
that Vanderbilt kid.
Yeah, Keyshawn Vaughn.
Yeah,
I mean, I think they're pretty much they've let that pick on fire pretty much.
Yeah. So it's basically whoever you want. And so there's some developmental guys you could take, and I can read through some of them because we're not right. Like you could take Greg Newsome, who's more developmental, but he's a good cornerback. You could take Jason Owe, edge out of Penn State, really developmental guy. I want to take a one-year freak, a guy that was amazing in 2020 that didn't do anything in 2019. He had 102 total tackles in 2020, and in 2019 he had 32. He had 70 more tackles in 1 year, not to mention a few sacks and 3 interceptions. And this is linebacker out of Kentucky, Jammin Davis, Jammin, I don't know, who has been projected to be a 5th-round pick, and a few months ago got moved to the 3rd round. That's roughly where he's being taken. And as of last week, he's being consistently taken in the top of the 2nd round pick.
That's why I want Chicago to get really bad in the 2nd. I like him a lot.
And so I think he's going to rise, and then Tampa Bay's just they're just let's just take a freak. And a guy who had a 1 year, the biggest issue is volume. They don't know if it's sustainable. They don't know if it was a fluke. But he had crazy numbers first year.
Can I say one thing here on this, not on this specific player, but if I was doing this pick, I wanted to talk about almost like in an honorable mention kind of situation. If I was Tampa Bay, and this might get some hate, but I would take Nick Bolton, the Missouri linebacker. Y'all I am in love with him. I think he's going to be a beast. Alpha male linebacker. He, literally will try to kill you. I freaking love that. I'm a big Nick Bolton guy, but he struggles with a lot of coverage.
And it feels like they would double up with him. His skill set. Who's their current linebacker that's amazing?
Devin White.
Yeah, it feels like they're the same guy.
I could see that.
But
he's a good coverage guy, though.
In your face, all that stuff, huh?
Yeah. I mean, Devin, he can cover too, but I think you're right. It's kind of about that alpha situation.
Yeah, you want to do a quick honorable mention? Is there a handful of guys you're surprised didn't go in the 1st? I think Travis
Uh,
Etienne is one that's going a lot that didn't
Mhm.
get the first.
Rondell Moore, I don't think I'd be surprised, but he's a guy I've seen.
We didn't take a safety in the first.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
noticed that.
Oh yeah,
Trayvon Moehrig.
Moehrig, yeah.
I
Yeah,
could see Elijah Moore being taken in the late first, possibly.
yeah, me too. And again, I think the
they could be-
tackles are very interchangeable. Like people can see tackles very differently. You still have, who are some other tackles? Samuel Cosme out of Texas, Liam Eichenberg out of Notre Dame, Jalen Mayfield. Some people have him as their number 2 tackle. Yeah, there's a lot. Any of those
I
besides
think
those?
Trayvon Moehrig would probably be my number 1 now that we circle back to him.
Yeah. Eric Stokes, quarterback out of Georgia, is good. But all right, we want to recap this?
Yeah.
All right, quick recap of the official waste of time mock draft. Again, make sure, for those of you blind squirrels listening to this, make sure to fill out your own mock draft. You each have a spot on here. And then when the draft happens, I'll fill in the draft spot and you'll see how you rank up to everyone else. So
feel free to fill out all 7 rounds.
Yeah, feel free to fill out all 7 rounds like I did. I'm crazy. Okay, so Jacksonville takes Trevor Lawrence, Jets take Zach Wilson, San Francisco Justin Fields, Atlanta takes Kyle Pitts, Cincinnati Penei Sewell, Miami Jamar Chase, Denver Mack Jones, Carolina Micah Parsons, Detroit Rashawn Slater, Dallas Patrick Surtain II, New York Giants Jalen Waddle, Philadelphia Devontae Smith, New England traded up for Trey Lance, Minnesota got Elijah Vera Tucker, the Chargers traded back, got J.C. Horn, Arizona took Jeremiah Osua-Koromoa. Las Vegas selected Christian Darrisaw. Miami, Jalen Phillips. Washington, Terrace Marshall. Chicago took Caleb Farley. Indianapolis, Tevin Jenkins. Tennessee, Kadarius Toney. Jets, Kwity Paye. Buffalo, Najee Harris. Jacksonville, Zavin Collins. Cleveland, Aziz Ojolari. Baltimore, Rashad Bateman. New Orleans, Ifeatu Melifonwu. Green Bay, Christian Barmore. Pittsburgh, Landon Dickerson. Kansas City, Alex Leatherwood. And Tampa Bay, Jammin Davis. Yamin, whatever. That's the picks.
Nice. My last question, because we didn't control our own teams, how do you feel like the guys did for your teams? Like, Cole, how do you feel about Denver?
I think you killed it. I think the only other move that not that I like more, but if Micah Parsons is at 9, I just don't know if Micah Parsons will make it past 7 or 8.
Mm-hmm.
But
because in my mind, I think it's highly likely he's the first defender off the board.
Yeah, me too. But I like Mack Jones a lot. I think he would be an upgrade over Drew Lock.
Well,
yeah, with the Bears draft, it's just hard to really. I mean, I like Caleb Farley a lot. I think he could be good. It's just hard to get excited about next season with really any like reasonable and likely draft scenario that happens in 2 weeks, other than like trading up super high. And so I think given what was all the players there, like, you know, I think going the cornerback, going Caleb Farley, taking a risk there, I liked it. So I think Cole made a good call there.
Yeah, I tried to get Trey Lance for you.
Yeah. Darn.
Luke, how do you feel?
Yeah, and I raved about it when it happened. I think it's, you know, and you even said this when you made the move. It feels pretty unlikely that it's a trade up for the running back there. But man, I would be absolutely in love if we ended up with Najee Harris. He is a difference maker. He's insane. Yeah. So yeah, that's my dream pick. I don't know what we'd have to give up to trade up those 6 spots. But whatever gets us Najee, man, that'll be fun.
Okay, that's it. Everyone make sure to fill out your stuff. Let us know what you thought, what you would have done differently. We're off next week because I'm at my honeymoon, but then some new quality sound equipment coming up for some future waste of time Luke, is this going on just YouTube or is it also going on Spotify?
I'll probably do both.
Okay, cool.
Gimme, gimme.
Yeah, let us know
so
what you think about it.
ring that bell, smash that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up if you like what you heard.
We'll see you next time. Cue really cool animation.
Yeah.
Bye.